Trying to figure out that walk-up music. How does that fit in? Thanks for being here, everybody, and I want to thank my panel for joining us. I'm going to give them a little quick introduction. To my left, Mark Bedane is the president of the planned 20,000-seat arena venue that's being built on the south end of Las Vegas Boulevard and Blue Diamond Road by the Los Angeles-based Oakview Group. Mark was former president of the Las Vegas Raiders, president of Oakland Raiders too, and was helped spearhead bringing the Raiders to Las Vegas, as well as the development of the Allegiant Stadium. Derek Englund, very well known in our community. Derek is now the special assistant to Bill Foley, the owner of the Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights. Let's get that out there. Derek's very active in the team's community relations department. He's also seen on the telecasts. Derek played 11 seasons in the NHL, the last 3 with the Golden Knights, but he's a connection here. Derek has been a resident of Vegas for like about almost 20 years, right? And he played for the Las Vegas Wranglers of the ECHL, and where he met his wife, Melissa, and Derek's been here, been in Vegas ever since. So thank you, Derek. At our far end, Nikki Fargas, the president of the defending WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces. I'll note they will open the championship series on Sunday against the New York Liberty over at the Michelob Ultra Arena. Nikki's been with the Aces for 2 seasons now. She was one of the first hires to the team by Mark Davis when he bought the franchise back a few years ago. So thank you all for being here up early and doing the panel with us. I kind of want to set the stage real quick. I moved here in December of '82. Our largest sports venue in Las Vegas was the Las Vegas Convention Center at 6,000 seats. It was home for UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels. Maybe some of you in the audience might know this, that you may have gone to some of those games there. But a year later, Thomas and Mack Center was built at 18,000 seats, and that may have been the first connection between sports business and business and bringing in the sports community, because 2 years after it opened, a group of Las Vegas casino owners and tourism folks brought the National Finals Rodeo to Las Vegas in December. Got them to move away from Oklahoma City, higher event, purse payouts, of course. But December was traditionally in Las Vegas dead. That's when there was nobody was coming. After Thanksgiving, they'd wait till New Year's, and then people would start showing up. What the NFR did was fill hotel rooms for 2 weeks, for 10 days. Country Western acts show up. It's now common now that December we have the National Finals Rodeo. And what's interesting, this year the NBA is doing this in-season series, championship tournament. The semifinals and finals will be held on over the first 3 nights of the National Finals Rodeo. So that's how big we've grown now in sports, that we're able to bring 2 big major events at the same time. So that's what happens when we have 154,000 hotel rooms. We know that the Knights arrived in 2016, the Aces 2018. The Raiders started in 2020 after Allegiant Stadium was built, and now there's talk about the Oakland A's. We'll bring that up a little bit in the conversation. But let me get into a couple of questions. Mark, at first, I really want you to explain this 20,000-seat arena. It's being built with NBA specifications, so when are you going to have a team here owned by LeBron James and Floyd Mayweather Jr., I guess?
You're jumping the gun a little bit.
Okay.
Since we announced this project in March, April of 22, we've been very careful, and we don't want to make any presumptions or assumptions. The league has obviously talked about expansion. Obviously, there are a couple of really obvious candidates for it, Vegas being one of them. Mm-hmm. But that'll be a decision by the commissioner and the 30 owners to decide where they want to expand. What our company decided and what Tim Lewicki decided was there's a need for a new venue. You were talking about 1983, I believe, Thomas and May?
Yeah.
If you look at just the evolution of the venues in Las Vegas and how often they open, it's about once every 10 years. T-Mobile opened in 2016. We should be open by 2027, so it sort of follows that evolution. And Tim Lewicki, built T-Mobile. That was his last project at AEG. So he understands the market, he understands the potential in this market, and the need for another venue, but to then build some connectivity with the resort and really build a new destination for music, and like
Well,
you said, it'll be NBA ready.
Tim dropped the line, $10 billion at the LV event this summer in June.
LVGA's perspective.
Yeah, and he dropped it $10 billion and no public money. So, you know, I guess Tim says usually what he says, he usually does.
The parcel of land is a 66-acre parcel, and the original plan was just to develop about 25 acres. It's now expanded, and we're master planning the full 66 acres right now. And when we have renderings and we have news to share, it'll be because it's done. It won't be because it's a pretty picture that we just want to show to the public. It'll be that it's it'll be ready to produce, and it'll be ready to activate. It'll be ready to file entitlement, and that's probably when we'll make our next announcement.
Nikki, I'm curious, the Las Vegas Aces are one of only 3 WNBA teams that don't have an NBA team in the same city. Would you like to see the NBA come here? I know there's a relationship already between the WNBA and the NBA. Would you like to see the NBA put a team in here? How would the Aces work with that team?
Well, you know, we started with the NBA team when we were in San Antonio, and then obviously we were in Utah, and now we're here in Las Vegas. We have a great relationship with the NBA. You can see a lot of the crossover with some of the other franchises that do have NBA teams in their market. I find the Las Vegas Aces being the first major professional sports team to win a world championship. So, you know, there's a part of me, and you can say selfishly, I like it just being the women. But I think the other part of this, and we were talking earlier, is the support that we receive from the NBA players. When you have Kobe Bryant, who brought his daughter Gigi to games, and it was a dream of hers to play, and obviously the girl dad phenom started and kind of created by him. To see players come and sit courtside, there's great relationships between our players and WNBA and NBA guys. So I think the synergy is already there. Again, I'm not the commissioner. The beautiful facility that you guys are building, we are excited that this community has embraced all of these professional sports teams. I remember when UNLV, the Running Rebels was it. And so now with VGK also winning a championship, and hopefully we'll get one on the Raiders side eventually, but I think this community is very welcoming to allowing all of us to be here. I know we have a good relationship also with the Aviators. They've been very good in saying, hey, we would love for your players to come out and throw out the first pitch. Now, where that pitch landed, I don't know. But just to have that type of relationship with the Raiders, with VGK, we've rang the siren. We welcome that. Anything that can enhance the community of Las Vegas, we think that's a positive.
Derek, I want to ask you not so much about the NBA, but with the Golden Knights, long before there was even the name Golden Knights, I mean, the team, we knew there was going to be a franchise put into Las Vegas. The team started reaching out to the community, and you actually said you were involved in that even before the expansion draft. I point out he was one of the original misfits of that enjoy that nickname. But even before the expansion draft, when you were selected, you said you were kind of involved in helping get the word out there about the team.
Yeah, once Bill announced that he was bringing a team here, and we already lived here. We're building a house that we're living in now, and so my wife had stuff all over the house. We didn't know the name or anything like that, just putting the vibe out in the universe to hopefully end up here. And as soon as one of my buddies, Gabe Gosher, said that the Knights were holding a street hockey clinic, I think it was in May. Actually, I think it was my son's birthday that day. So I made sure to get out there and meet some of the people that worked for the Knights, and just put it in their ear too, if they can tell George. And
it's not just the team, the players are bought into this to get, I mean, because one of the questions I have is, Why did the NHL, it was the first major professional sports team here, why did the NHL work in Vegas?
Well, I think it starts with Bill. You know, you need an owner that, you know, no one expected us to make the playoffs the first year. I didn't even expect us to make the playoffs the first year. But you need an owner. If you go to all the teams that have won in the last, I don't know, 2 decades, it's they got to be willing to spend the money and do that extra. The facilities, the city obviously helps. You know, taxes are great, so guys want to come here. What they built that first year, aside from making the finals that year, he created just a great culture with the team. And you know, you get guys like Mark Stone that want to come here, Jack Eichel, all the top end guys, and it's not going to stop when those guys age out. The new younger guys that are up for free agency, I think, will want to come here because the city is so amazing. And guys, you know, I remember the first year of the expansion draft, guys would call like, oh, what's outside the strip? I'm like, oh no, just wait till you get here. Like Marc-Andre Fleury, I was good friends with him before, and he's like, how do you guys live there? And then he gets here and he doesn't want to leave. He loves it here. He loves cars, so he's like, the roads are so smooth here. I can get my car going fast. You know, stuff like that. So it's, you know, they started that culture, and guys just want to come here and play for this team.
Let me talk about it. Let me go to another subject. And one of the things that we've noticed, I went to the Raiders home opener a couple weeks ago. Maybe you've watched it on television. It was probably 70, maybe 75% Pittsburgh Steelers fans. They, you know, the minute the Steelers came out, the terrible towels waved. This, I know Mr. Davis, Mark Davis actually made comments, because last season he made a comment about, you know, the 49ers and the Chiefs were in town and half the stadium was in red. This was part of the business model, though, to have, you know, to entice, to bring, you know, 154,000 hotel rooms, bringing out of town fans to follow their team. Is that correct, Mark? Or am I
I'm just, what's the question?
The question is are you surprised how much of it sometimes is out of town fans?
Look, first of all, I don't want to speak for Mark.
Okay.
But he was aware of this, and his belief was if these folks are going to be a part of this project and pay for PSLs, they can do what they want with their tickets. So we have to respect that, and it's not a surprise. But the visiting team fans, it's not a new phenomenon. If you went to a game in Oakland, the entire visiting team deck on the 100 level was visiting team fans. It wasn't 75%, but you might have 20, 25%. In 25, 30 years of going to Raider games, I can't think of one stadium in the league where it wasn't 20% Raider fans, and in some cases it was 80% Raider fans. So it's not a new phenomenon. It's gotten a lot of attention with what's gone on here, with what's gone on in LA, but you can go anywhere, and obviously the barriers to accessing tickets have come down, so it's just that much easier for a visiting team fan to go see their team play wherever. The number I heard was, by the way, 60-40 Raider Steelers, but I know on TV, and it makes for a better headline. So it's not a new phenomenon. I think most stadiums are going to head in that direction as fans are able to monetize the investment in the ticket. They're going to take advantage of that. And people, if you're going to look at your calendar and where you're going to want to play or go see your team, you're going to come here. You just are. I mean, you talked about it earlier, 150,000 hotel rooms. I don't think people who have been here a long time understand how easy this city is to navigate that way. And unless you've gone to other cities and understand what it's like to navigate the airport, which may be 30 miles out of town, or get to a hotel and then try to get to the hotel to the stadium or the venue, this city's just got it down. And the Super Bowl's coming here in February. And I think the NFL is going to walk out of here and say, wow, we got to come back whenever we can. Just because the ease of getting people on. The best Super Bowl experience is probably New Orleans, just because of the proximity of where everything is. Well, here everything's within a few miles. Right. So I think, and this town can absorb those type of events like it's nothing. I mean, I was at Game 5, and the euphoria and everyone pouring out into Toshiba Plaza and then pouring into various properties, and then we parked our car near the stadium, we walked back, and 3 hours after it was like, okay, what's next, right? This town just has an ability to adapt and be a chameleon and absorb those types of events the way no other city can.
Let me ask Nikki first. Are we seeing this phenomenon with the Aces yet? That where you're getting visiting fans? I know we were talking this morning, games 1, 2, and 5 are already sold out for the championship series over at Michelob Ultra. So, but are we seeing that with the Aces yet? Are you finding that?
Yeah, I think we're seeing more visiting fans, and even the organizations are traveling. Ownership is now traveling. Their front office is now traveling. I know even for games 1 and 2, New York is bringing at least 100, 150 people from their organization. So it's becoming a thing, and it's more regional though. I know that we have a group of just diehard fans that are traveling to Los Angeles or Seattle, Phoenix, places where they can drive or get an affordable flight. So you are seeing a lot of fans now coming to Vegas, but why wouldn't you come to Vegas? It's kind of like with the example that you gave, when you look at your schedule and you're looking at, okay, if I get to choose one place to travel to support my team, people are circling, they're going to put a circle around Las Vegas, and that's what we're seeing. So yes, we are seeing an uptick in the number of fans that are traveling to our home contest here.
Derek, obviously, we see this with the Knights. You know, you go to out there for warm-ups, and all the visiting fans are, you know, lined up by the glass for their team. From a player's perspective, do the players notice this, or do they just kind of tune it out, or what do you?
No, you definitely notice. It's I think here it's different than other. It's always loud in there, no matter what the score is. You go to, say, Canada, where hockey's like football up there, and the visiting team's winning. You could hear a pin drop in there. But here they keep the energy going with the in-game entertainment. But then also the away fans start cheering. It gets the home fans cheering louder to drown them out. So you notice it gets. I think it makes it louder. It brings that atmosphere to the game, and as a player, I enjoy that. I played the physical side, and big hit, the crowd goes wild, whatever, and you kind of feed off that as a player.
That's interesting. I'm just curious about that. I want to talk about, well, jokes say the elephant in the room, but they have a mascot named Stomper, so that is the Oakland A's, and the A's prospective move here to Vegas. They are not doing these type of events right now until they get the vote from Major League Baseball or move forward some more. So they're doing small things here, but not much. They're talking about building a $1.5 billion, 33,000 seat stadium on the side of the Tropicana Hotel right now. You're looking at a 20,000 seat arena. We have a 65,000 seat arena. We have multiple arenas, like you said, 18,000 TNM, 18,000 at T-Mobile. Where does a 33,000 seat baseball stadium fit in? And you've had dealings with the A's. You guys shared a stadium in Oakland, the Oakland Coliseum. Where's this headed? I'm curious.
Why don't you start with those two? You come to me last.
You want me to? I'll be happy to.
The issues between the Raiders and the A's are pretty well documented. Frankly, I think Mark was diplomatic. This is a small industry, and you compete on the field, but you expect a level of honesty and professionalism that just didn't exist. And so those feelings are going to persist, and I don't know how long it will take before they're gone. So with that out of the way,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. What I know the answer to is I went to the Sphere last night, and I know what we put into building Allegiant Stadium. And you better build something special here. I know what we're doing for the arena. You can't just build some cookie cutter facility. So you have to come up with something dynamic and something that's going to draw attention and is going to be worthy of this market. Once you do that, you then have to pay for it. And that's the biggest challenge. So is there a market for a baseball stadium? I would hope so. I would hope that the work has been done to study the market. I think it's a little more challenging. The economics of baseball are very different than the other three sports. The regional sports television comes into play here. This is not a huge market for that. and you're going to have to sell 2.5 million tickets. That's not easy. So the question is what do they do in the other 270 dates?
Yeah.
And what are the other events that can play baseball stadiums? Baseball stadiums are not a great concert venue. They're just not set up geometrically for great concert venues. You'll have some, but you're not going to have what you see at arenas, and you're not going to see what you have at Allegiant. So what other events can you put there? Oh, that's not my job. As my rabbi told me to say, I wish them well. I wish them well.
Nikki, Major League Baseball plays pretty much during...
Mark's answer.
I'm curious about it. You'll be competing with a baseball team in a market with a fan base, that only have so many dollars. Is that any concern? I mean, with baseball coming, if it comes here with Major League Baseball, because you'll be right up at the same dates a lot of times.
Well, I like the growth of our game.
Yeah.
When I got here a few years ago, obviously we had the COVID situation, but to see our attendance and to see the community get behind these women has been pretty phenomenal. When you're able to sell out a 10,000 seat arena throughout playoffs and then during the regular season. We did get an opportunity to play over at T-Mobile, our final regular season game, and we had over 17,000 people there. So you can see this community just really rallying around these women. Our sport is totally different. I think we play the game in its purest form. I understand everybody loves people dunking the basketball, and we do have some people that can do that. But the game is played the way it's supposed to be played, and I think our fans see it and believe it, and the atmosphere that we've created is very affordable for this community. Mark Davis' vision to reprice and do a repricing structure where there's a $10 ticket. There's no bad seat in Michelob Ultra Arena. No. There really isn't. And I think that says a lot about our commitment to this community as well. So again, Mark's answer, if that answers the question.
Derek, I want to ask you in a different manner. You played with established NHL teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Calgary Flames, and then you played with an expansion team. There was talk with Major League Baseball wants to expand, and there's been an argument, well, maybe Vegas should wait for an expansion team. Would Major League Baseball give up a potential $2 billion expansion fee for the A's? As a player, now as a front office person with the Knights, what seems better? Is have an established team come in, or building something from the ground up, an expansion franchise like you guys did?
I think at the end of the day, you got to put a product out there that's going to sell. That first year, you guys have sold because you're a winning team. So are the Knights. That first year, a ton of people I knew bought tickets. We were offering them. Now, you don't want to give them away. You want to go to the games, and you're not having 60% of Steeler fans at the game because you have a winning product. You want to go support that winning product. And I think that's going to be the number one thing. If you can put a winning product out there, you're going to get more of your local fans out there than the traveling fans coming into town.
Let me ask a quick question about sports betting. It's in 35 states now. That's what really kept sports away from professional sports away from Vegas was legalizing sports betting being here. Like I said, now in 35 states. Mark, the Raiders actually had to make the NFL comfortable before we even thought about moving the team here, make them comfortable with sports betting. Can you explain that a little bit, what you guys did?
Certainly. Obviously, with PASPA being struck down, that's what opened the floodgates. Right. But if you go back a few years prior, many people in this room know Bo Bernhardt. Mm-hmm. And he was running the gaming center there. And he put a presentation together that essentially said Vegas is the safest place for a sports team because of the regulation and because of the oversight. So it was very compelling, and we sent that, and there were a number of owners that had moved past it. But there are obviously some hardliners and some family owners that I think looked at the gambling aspect of it as problematic, and that document was very, very compelling, and I've shared that over the years, and Bo knows the impact that had. But just talking about the controls that are in place in this town, it made sense, right? It was very convincing. And then I believe as that was going on and the rumors of PASPA being struck down, leagues, owners, they always acknowledged it. Some hid it better than others, but they saw the chance for that to add to the game, to add that fan avidity, to add that excitement. It's a whole nother level of involvement, right? And you saw it with fantasy football and fantasy and other sports, but this took it to another level. So the economics of it then, obviously, like everything else, trumped any hesitation.
Nikki, I had a couple items in my newsletter in the last couple of weeks, one from FanDuel, one from BetMGM, that said the wagering on WNBA games has doubled this year. And both of them said how the excitement around a New York Liberty Las Vegas Aces championship series is drawn interest. Two questions. Obviously, is this something that you think it's helped sports betting draw more interest to the game? And second, what is the WNBA stance and the team stance on sports betting with the players?
Well, first question, it has drawn a lot of interest. And then when you look at the beginning of the season and how the media portrayed us as these two super teams. And, as our roster has changed, we've got super players, we've got super women on our team. And so you're pitting New York versus LA or Las Vegas like you would LA Lakers versus Boston Celtics. So you're getting that rivalry in between two teams, and I think that's built up this playoff game. Everybody wanted to see the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. With that being said, we have anti-gaming laws or as far as protocols for the WNBA. We have annual meetings with our players, coaches, and front office about betting and basically not betting.
Mm-hmm.
But we do think that the gaming industry, whether you're a fan of women's basketball or not, it does lend for you to now pay attention. And so that's been a positive for us that we have more eyes on our game. We have more people viewing our game, which obviously helps our ratings. And with that comes a better media rights deal because that's going to be up here in a couple of years. So we want everybody tuning in, and if this is one way to do so, then I'm for it. And I think it's been a positive for us to have these fantasy sports, identifying and recognizing and knowing some of these names because, we're a little different than a lot of the other professional teams because our players still have to go overseas. Our players aren't always in market because they still have to earn a living and they play all over the country. And so if we can have an Asia Wilson and Kelsey Plum become a household name, that allows them to stay here. That allows them to not have to miss birthdays, not have to miss weddings. And that could be a way of doing that too, that drive the opportunities for them to be here in market.
Derek, the NHL has been very open about sports betting, deals with the league, deals with the different, all the leagues have, most NBA, Major League Baseball, and NFL even now. Owners learned, I guess we can make money off this. Okay, well, now we're afraid of sports betting after the NFL tried to kill legal sports betting for years. The NHL, and did they talk, you've lived here. Have you, and the Knights came about before PASPA. PASPA was thrown out in 2018, so the Knights were the only team playing in a legal sports betting market. Did the team were there conversations about it in there, or was it just?
Not really. I think you could still sports bet before the team was here.
Right.
So, and same thing, you're not allowed to. Even me now, I got to sign a paper. I'm not allowed to bet on hockey as I work for the team. But I think as a player, most of the guys aren't betting on hockey anyways. They're going to bet on the other sports that they watch and they follow football and basketball and baseball. Get out of hockey. You don't want to stay in your job when you're at home and Sundays watching football or whatnot. You want to watch other stuff. You want to do other things. And but they, I think it's so accessible now, no matter where you are. It's on your phone, but like you said, it gets people more involved and to watch the games, and lines come up, you can bet on other things during the game. So I think it just makes it more interesting for the fans to be more involved and pay more attention to what's going on.
Did the players know that the first season you guys were like something like 1,000-to-1 shot to win the Stanley Cup, and the books were about to take a hit if you guys won it?
I would have put it higher than that just to make playoffs. By Christmas time, when we were doing well, all the old guys, because we figured we were all getting traded at the deadline to get assets, so we started winning, have a good team. We're like, hey, we got to keep this going, or else we're all gone. And luckily enough, we got in and made a good run.
The true. Mark, let me ask you a couple of questions about the arena. Is there any discussion about going after, the NFR has always talked about that even though they've been at Thomas and Mack for 38 years or something, that the ring is too small. It always is, it wasn't as large as Oklahoma City. Is there any talk with you guys? I know South Point is right near your venue, and they do a lot of work with the NFR, keeping the horses and the cattle there during the event. Any talk about the NFR trying to get that going after that? What other events would you try to bring?
Yeah, we've had discussions. Some of the challenges are they have some specifications on what they want in a building, and I'm not sure we'll be able to match that. One is 2 tunnels. One is 10 acres of land for the cattle to be staged. We obviously don't have that. So I don't know if that one's going to work out. Our building is going to be a music venue with a basketball configuration, so it won't be expandable to hockey. So it creates a different geometry.
Right.
So we won't be going after hockey games, but certainly other basketball events. We have a relationship already with the NBA Summer League that we've developed, and then all kinds of music and tournaments. This city's got the demand and needs some more capacity, and we're here to fill it.
And at 30,000 seat, 20,000 seat is what, I already expanded you there. 20,000 seats needed. Derek, I want to bring up something that, people will all remember you for. And this is kind of what happened with the Knights. They're ready to start the season when October happened. The Knights changed their plans, and the opening night was honoring the victims, honoring the first responders, and you gave a very memorable speech. If you haven't seen it, or if go to YouTube, you can find it. I'm going to put a link to it in my newsletter this week, when I do a story about this panel. But Derek, can you talk about that speech a little bit and what went into that?
Yeah, obviously it was an unfortunate tragedy that happened, and the team kind of came to me, being from Vegas, and said, we think you should do a speech. And I'm starting to get better at talking in front of people, but that was definitely not my thing then. And I went home to talk to my wife, and she's like, "You have to do this. And there's no question to ask." And I'm like, "All right." So I told them yes, and they sent me this freaking story that you need to say this. I'm like, "There's no chance." So my wife and me worked, and she did a lot of the editing, and she nailed it. Obviously. Helped me out. She went for marketing and all that school. Grade 12, so not the most educated, I guess, but so she helped me out a lot, and it was 5 days of just laying in bed, going over it in my head, so I didn't screw it up. And to this day, it's probably my most proud moment as a hockey player is that speech. Just how many people, I still get people today tell me how much that helped them and the team that year. And, it was an honor to get out there and speak and be able to help people.
Well, the team went out in the community right after this event. And it helps, and in some ways, it may have helped solidify, the team's, commitment to Las Vegas.
100%. I know at the expansion draft, it was me, James Neal, Marc-Andre Fleury, Jason Garrison, and we're going around the city doing all this stuff, and our talk there is we got to get out and put ourselves in there. And then we've seen Bill at the expansion draft, and he's same thing. We got to community, build the fan base, and so you thought over the course of the year you would get out and do some events and all that, and then the 1 October happened and completely changed. The team changed their whole home opener to what they did, and which in 10 days is amazing what they did, and I think it just fast-tracked us getting out in the community. You know, we went around the blood drives and fire stations, police stations, all that, and I think it also gave, you know, I know everyone called us the misfits, and you know, going up against everyone had an old team, so, you know, money on the board and all that stuff, and you wanted to win for that guy in a normal year, but with what happened, it was, I remember in Dallas after that first game, my phone was blowing up after, and a lot of my buddies are firemen and stuff like that were down there, and text me that you can't imagine how that game just changed our fire stations mentality, like that day, you know, just 3 hours of people being able to turn off and watch sports. And so hearing that, you know, reading it to some of the guys in the back, how it's helping people get past what happened and heal, that I think it actually added fuel to the fire, not just we wanted to win like every other team in the league, but gave us something bigger and more to play for. And then it just snowballed into, we found out how to play as a group and win, and we wanted to keep honoring the people that lost their lives and were there helping everyone.
Nick, the fan base for the Aces, it's predominantly local, obviously. You said you had some fans that come from other markets to watch. Is it primarily women, or is it growing? Is it changing, and it's more men, or has always been more men? I'm curious what that fan base has.
What do you think it is?
Oh, I think it's 50-50. So I always play it down the middle.
No, we're 54% male audience.
Wow.
And then we have our female audience. But I think it has a lot to do with us attracting the family. So you got a lot of two-parent home families that are coming. But again, I talk about this girl-dad phenom. There's a lot of dads that, not saying they hadn't been there, but their daughters and their sons are like, hey, take me to the game. So we're not only influencing the girls and the girls in our community, we're also influencing the boys, which I love that these young men are growing up seeing these powerful, beautiful women play a sport so gracefully, and when you see them off the court, they're about as humble as anyone that you would ever meet. We cater to the 24-year-old to the 54-year-old. That's probably 70% of our fan base. So I like that we have a very diverse fan base. They are diehard. There's 4 gentlemen that are right behind our bench, and they come kind of like the Raiders. They're face painted. They have their Aces sign, and it's pretty amazing. And they're older. It's not like they're in their 20s. Probably not even in their 30s. They might be in their 50s. and to see that every home contest is pretty impressive.
That's nice.
One of those guys was my son's high school advisor.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I want to talk about public financing versus private financing. Tim has said straight out, it's going to be $10 billion, but he's not asking for any public money. Mm-hmm. The Raiders was $750 million for Allegiant in public money, tied to room tax. The A's is a much different structure, and $380 million in public money. Mr. Foley didn't ask for any public money for the Knights. Allegiant, the question, and you've been involved because you were, with the Raiders, watching with the Stadium Authority. Has it done what Allegiant promised?
Shouldn't we get Ralston up here for this question?
No, I'm going to ask you.
Has Allegiant? Yeah, certainly the early returns have been staggering. It's the #1 stadium in the world. It's driven more events than any other stadium, more revenue, more visitation. You could go back in time and look at the projections from 17 and 18, actually more 17 when they were doing the vote, and look at what the projections were for number of events, number of people coming to town, average daily room rate, and the metrics have completely destroyed it. And that's inclusive of 2020 when there weren't any fans. So I certainly think Allegiant has delivered. How long that tail is, I don't know, Howard. I mean, I think if you look out the next 2 or 3 years, The number of events that are going to keep coming there are going to continue to exceed all of those projections.
Derek, I'm going to throw out the question. This was my favorite point when Mr. Foley, I think it was, he said it may have been before, but he said at the naming, when the name Knights was unveiled, he said, playoffs in 3, cup in 6. Well, now he's Nostradamus because apparently the team won the cup in 6 games. What did I mean, was this just like hyperbole? Did you see it as the players just see it as like, what is he saying? You know, I mean, expansion teams, I remember expansion teams winning like 10 games in a year.
Yeah, like I said, at the expansion draft, you see the team, and we had good players. We didn't have any outstanding McDavids or Crosbys or anything like that. And so we had a lot of second, third liners, fourth liners. We didn't really have an established number 1 or 2 D. Obviously, Shea Theodore's, worked his way up to a high-end guy. Marc-Andre Fleury was our bright spot. So yeah, we were. Every team, every year, doesn't matter who you are. Even if you're, I don't know who's supposed to, Arizona Coyotes this year. Their goal at the first game of the season is to make playoffs just like all other 32 teams in the league. And if you can stay healthy and play the right way, it's possible. And that's what we did. We stayed healthy. We played a team game. We were relentless. You ask any team that we played against, we never gave up on a puck. We forechecked, backchecked hard. We just won as a group. And did I think we were going to make it to the finals that year? No, but by Christmas you think, okay, we got a chance of making the playoffs and, doing okay. And, it just kept snowballing until the finals. I think the finals, that was the first series that we were favored to win. And I think once that happened, we were always underdogs, and being favored, I think we definitely didn't play how we did the rest of the season, but to win 6 years later, I think, like I said earlier, I think it starts with your owner and him wanting to win. He's got to be the one that says, okay, yeah, go get this guy, let's do this in the facility, add this. It's a big, for free agents going to, I played in Calgary and it was close to home. They didn't have the greatest facility, but it can sell a free agent, especially a big guy. The taxes, the practice facilities, the game rink, the fans, that's all a big selling point. The community for the family, the wife and the kids, the schooling. So it's it's not just the team. It's a lot of things that go into it. And Vegas has, it's a great community. It's like you said, it's a super easy city to get around. Taxes are a huge deal for anyone. And then on top of that, you have the infrastructure, which is top notch. And so it's easy to bring guys in, and they continue to do that. And they want to win, and they want to defend the championship, as you guys are this year. And it'll keep rolling. It's going to be an ongoing thing, I think.
Derek came in gear and you can't go around town without seeing Raiders gear and Knights gear. Where do the Aces stand in merchandise? Are they one of the top teams in the league in terms of merchandise sales?
Well, unfortunately, the league doesn't track that.
Okay.
But if you ask me, yes, number one. Again, I've seen a growth in our merchandise sales. We have an unbelievable team that does a lot of great graphics. I'm seeing a lot of it, like if I'm in the grocery store, there's people with Aces gear on. I think that says a lot about the fans, but the community realizing that there is a women's professional sports team here. When I got here a few years ago, it didn't really feel that way. And again, you can attribute a little bit of that to COVID. And I think Mark Davis has done a phenomenal job of being upfront and in the media and talking about these women deserve nothing but the best. And when you look at the investment that you're talking about, we have a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind Aces headquarters, which is right next to the Raiders headquarters. And no other WNBA team has that. Now what we're seeing is Seattle has broken ground. Phoenix is wanting to do something. New York is wanting to do something. So through Mark's vision, we are setting the standard, or setting the bar of what it should be to be a WNBA team. So the merchandise, we are starting early. We want the little kid to be in the ACES gear, and not just the girls. We partnered with the NBA, and we have what we call the Junior ACES. So we'll have about 5,000 kids in the community of Las Vegas wearing ACES gear. And we are obviously wanting to do things in our facility which will bring some of these kids, whether we're having camps, clinics. I think that's when you're going to start having this long-term effect where they're growing up as ACES fans, and then they'll continue to be ACES fans. So the trajectory of us getting to VGK and the Raiders, obviously that's going to take some time. We are working on our license plate, though. So, but I do think that we've done a great job of marketing these women, and we're going to continue to do so.
We've got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to ask one question, get your thoughts on this. There are only 13 major metropolitan communities in the U.S. that have all four professional, the big four, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NFL. Is Vegas next? Are we ready? Can Vegas be number 14? Do you guys all think we can house all four sports and successfully? Mark, you want to go first, or?
You want to say it or you want me to say it?
Well, I wasn't included in the Big Four.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I know,
man.
and that's what
What's the matter with you?
they all. There are, and well, there are 10 teams right now, and an 11th being added in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, we have 12.
12 teams.
And there's been talks about adding another team. So yeah, Golden State. We have another team that was just announced yesterday. So we're getting there. We're at 12, not 32, but.
So okay, so we have the Big Five. How's that?
Better.
Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this city can certainly support it. One thing you have to keep running, you need to make sure it's priced properly.
Right.
I think there's a belief, they saw the success of the Knights, which was driven by what Derek has shared and what everybody here has experienced, and the success of the Raiders and Allegiant and what the team of people did there. And there might have been some belief that it was easy, and it is not.
Yeah.
And it is not easy, and this town is not easy, and you need to handle it the right way. Because if you make a mistake here, this is a town that's pretty good at holding grudges too. So you got to be very careful. It's obviously a basketball town. I think basketball will be very successful here. I can't answer for baseball, but I think the opportunity exists. And yeah, I think with the infrastructure that's in place, the growing population, the tourism influx, I don't think it will have any issues supporting the teams.
Derek, you got two boys. And go to the Knights game, go to the Raiders, go see the Aces. Do you want to take them to see baseball and basketball and NBA?
Yeah, no, I think you basically nailed everything I would have thought about saying. But yeah, as long as they build it right, I think the Knights, that's, hockey in the desert doesn't work in Phoenix, but it's where you put the rink, Glendale works for football because it's eight games a year. Playoffs, but for 42, it's a long drive for people, and putting it right on the Strip, it's very accessible to everyone, and obviously prices for tickets have gone up with a winning product, but I think if they, like you said, if they do it right and price point and put a team that is going to compete together, I think people will come out and support it for sure.
Yeah, like you said, Nikki, your fan base is very solid.
Yes.
And you don't think baseball would be any competition if Major League Baseball is playing at the same time as the Aces?
The Aces fan is very committed. I will say this community, in a short period of time, I've been around college basketball for 24 years. So I was at a Tennessee that led the league in attendance and was averaging 15,000 fans. And to see the growth of our game in this city has been, like I said earlier, pretty phenomenal. And the commitment level of our fans to now start to travel with us, I'm a true believer that a basketball fan, and if you have the right team on the floor or on the court or on the field, they're going to still be fans because of how this community has embraced them. I think everybody's a fan of women's basketball when you're winning championships. Yep. And so, if you bring in a quality professional sports team that starts to win, this community can support it and get behind them. You've seen that. And, even with the Aviators, I went out to their ballpark, beautiful ballpark, and I mentioned them earlier because, I wouldn't say I'm a true fan of baseball, but I wanted to see the park. So I went and enjoyed the game, and the atmosphere was great for me and my family. And that's what seems to draw a lot of these people to the sporting events. I've been to VGK. My daughter loves the fighting. It's not that she understands or ever played, but when you guys start fighting, she's like, woohoo, let's go. So there's so many entertainment values to sports now. So I do think that this community, as we grow as a community, I think obviously it's a no-brainer that we're going to grow with professional sports here.
Well, I hit overtime. How's that? There you go. There's a sports item for you. I want to thank our panelists, Mark, Derek, Nikki. Thank you for being here. It was really helped us kick off Indy Fest today. It was a fun conversation. I really appreciate it. Don't go anywhere because we're going to take a few minutes, and my colleague Jacob Solis will be hosting a panel on Southern Nevada economic development, the path forward. So that'll be right after this. So a nice round of applause for our guests. Thank you for being here.